ISKCON Ljubljana, Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhams Varvadakacharya Asadhara Sadhushi Shriman Ezamai Great Shlavakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantya Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhadragnath Shri Ji Gopaladas Ragnath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Prem Jiho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaiti Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govindam ki jai. Mathuradam ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ayodhya Dham ki jai. ISKCON Ljubljana ki jai. Padayatra ki jai. Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitaya ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Slavas Rani Bhakti. Slavas Rani Bhakti. Slavas Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. 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 Gopi Gana His divine grace, please see Bhaktivedanta Smaraj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, for Prevendevo, Slava Zarani Bhakta.
Hare Krishna Prasadade Srimati Bhakti-Rasa Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Om Magyanativanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuru Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Rovisham Savitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiguro Shri Utapara Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sagara Ragadatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Savaitam Savadutam Vrajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Mostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishnavanu Siddhi Devi Pranamami Hri Priye Panchakapa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyagacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitinanda Shri Radhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service, text number 7. Vasudeve Bhagavati Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Jnanam Chata Yadahaitukam Jnanam Chata Yadahaitukam Vasudeve Bhagavati Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Jnanam Chata Yadahaitukam Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Vasudeve Bhagavati Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahaitukam Jnanam Chayadahaitukam Vasudeve Bhagavati Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayadhaishu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahaitukam. Ladies.
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha
Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha
Janayadhaishu Vairagyam
Janayadhaishu Vairagyam
Jnanam Chayadahaitukam
Jnanam Chayadahaitukam.
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha
Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha
Janayadhaishu Vairagyam
Janayadhaishu Vairagyam
Jnanam cha yat ahatukam.
Jnanam cha yat ahatukam.
Vasudeve,
Vasudeve,
unto Krishna,
unto Krishna,
Bhagavati,
Bhagavati,
unto the personality of Godhead,
unto the personality of Godhead,
Bhakti Yoga,
Bhakti Yoga,
contact and devotional service,
contact and devotional service,
Priyojita,
Priyojita,
being applied, Janayati,
Janayati,
does produce, Ashu, very soon, Vairagyam, detachment, Jnanam, knowledge, Cha, and Yat, that which, Ahaitukam, causes. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Purport. Those who consider devotional service to the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, to be something like material emotional affairs, may argue that in the revealed scriptures, sacrifice, charity, austerity, knowledge, mystic powers, and similar other processes of transcendental realization are recommended. According to them, bhakti, or the devotional service to the Lord, is meant for those who cannot perform a high-grade activities. Generally, it is said that the bhakti cult is meant for the Shudras, Vaishyas, and the less intelligent women class. But that is not the actual fact. The bhakti cult is the topmost of all transcendental activities, and therefore it is simultaneously sublime and easy. It is sublime for the pure devotees who are serious about getting in contact with the Supreme Lord, and it is easy for the neophytes who are just on the threshold of the house of bhakti. To achieve the contact of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is a great science, and is open for all living beings, including the Shudras, Vaishyas, women, and even those lower than the low-born Shudras. So what to speak of the high-grade class men like the qualified Brahmanas and the great self-realized kings. The other high-grade activities designated as sacrifice, charity, austerity, etc. are all corollary factors following the pure and scientific bhakti cult. The principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. The whole spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual. And the result of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from material affection and becomes attached to spiritual activities. Becoming detached from material things does not mean becoming inert altogether, as men with poor fund of knowledge think. Naishkarmyam means not undertaking activities that will produce good or bad effects. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. The bhakti cult is meant for the realization of the positive form. When the positive form is realized, the negative forms are automatically eliminated. Therefore, with the development of the bhakti cult, with the application of positive service to the positive form, one naturally becomes detached from inferior things, and he becomes attached to superior things. Similarly, the bhakti cult, being the supermost occupation of the living being, leads him out of material sense enjoyment. That is the sign of a pure devotee. He's not a fool, nor is he engaged in the inferior energies, nor does he have material values. This is not possible by dry reasoning. It actually happens by the grace of the Almighty.
In conclusion, one who is a pure devotee has all other good qualities, namely knowledge, detachment, etc. One who has only knowledge or detachment is not necessarily well acquainted with the principles of the bhakti cult. Bhakti is the supermost occupation of the human being. So the text again, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Jana Yaishu Vairagyam Yanam Cha Yad Aitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Budaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatya Deshakarna. Here the word devotional service is used, bhakti. And Prabhupada mentions that many people think that bhakti is meant for the women, for the Shudras, Vaishyas, and low-born people. But Krishna says, Mami partha vyapashitya, yepi supapayonaya, striyo Vaishyas tata sudras, tepi yanti paramgatim. That anyone, whether it be of lower birth, Vaishyas, or Shudras, or women, they can still perform devotional service and can approach me. Mam hi partha vyapashitya. They can fully surrender to me. Mam hi partha vyapashitya yepi supapayonaya striyo vaishyata sudras tepi yanti paramgatim. And they can attain the highest goal. And kim punar brahmana punyas bhakti rajarshiyas tata anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajasvama. And what to speak of the Brahmins and the saintly kings, that in this material, these elevated personalities, that anyone in this material world can get out of the miseries and attain it. So bhakti is, one sense, it's available for everyone. But it takes some knowledge and detachment. But still, if one takes the bhakti, somehow or another, then causelessly knowledge and detachment will develop. So what does this causeless mean? It's not that it comes out of nothing, because nothing comes out of nothing. But bhakti, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, it's not the result of any particular material activity. In other words, Hiranyakashipu did austerities that no one could duplicate, and yet he never got bhakti. There are scholars like Prahladananda Saraswati, and there are persons who know the Vedas backwards and literally forwards and backwards, and yet they don't have any idea what bhakti is. So bhakti, as Prabhupada explains in his purport for 434, Tadvidi Pranipatena, Pariprashnena Sevaya, Upadekshanti Te Jnanam, Jnaninas Tattva Darshanaha. Bhakti is obtained through a process of devotional service. Although bhakti and devotional service are the same, bhakti is in the heart of a devotee, and by a process of surrendering to Krishna and to the devotee, then bhakti is bestowed causelessly upon the devotee. In other words, bhakti comes from bhakti, and in that way it's causeless. Bhakti can only come from someone who has bhakti. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, well, if it was open for everyone, then why doesn't Krishna bestow bhakti upon everyone? In other words, if there was no material cause behind bhakti, it didn't matter who you are, what you were doing, that it was all completely causeless, then why does Krishna differentiate? Why doesn't he just go out and go into downtown Slovenia or Ljubljana and chant Hare Krishna and have all the people downtown dance and chant in ecstasy? Why didn't Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come to Ljubljana and do that? Why did he go to the forest of Jharkhand and get all the animals to dance and chant? What did they do? What did they do anything better than the people downtown in Ljubljana? We have to assume that at least the people in downtown Ljubljana are at least on the level of the tigers and the deer. And yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't display his causeless mercy upon them so far. Because he's about to do it today. To some extent or another. So the point is that Krishna is equal to everyone. Samaham sarvabhuteshu name dveshtosi na priyaha ye vedanti tamam bhaktya mai teshu chapyaha. That samaham, I'm equal to everyone. Krishna's Paramatma in everyone's heart. He doesn't think, well, I like this devotee. Oh, I like this person. He has a nice haircut. I think I'll give him some mercy. Or I don't like the way this person looks. He hasn't taken a shower yet today, so I won't give him any mercy. No, Krishna says he's Paramatma, he's equal. He's like the judge. That's what he's doing in everyone's heart. Someone comes before the judge, and the judge examines what the person did, and he may award him a huge amount of money because of his activities. Another person comes and he tells that person, you're condemned to death. Not because he doesn't like him or he doesn't like the way he looks, but because of what the person did. He awards him accordingly. Now when one becomes a devotee, ye vajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapya, then Krishna may be a little bit inclined towards his devotee. He is inclined towards his devotee. But first you have to become a devotee, and then Krishna becomes inclined towards you. Or at least the devotee who wants to Krishna's devotee, at least trying to become a devotee. So bhakti doesn't come, Krishna doesn't bestow bhakti upon just without, discriminate. He gives bhakti, but he gives it with discrimination to his devotees. We have to become a devotee. Otherwise, Krishna is equal to everyone. So how do ordinary people get bhakti? So, bhakti comes from Krishna's devotee. Bhakti is in the heart of the devotee. And the devotee, especially the Madhyama Adhikari, he has discrimination. He sees those who are innocent, he sees the Supreme Lord, and he worships Krishna. He sees the devotees and he tries to make friends with them, cooperate with them for the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He sees the innocent people and he tries to help them. So, the innocent people he tries to help, and how does he help the innocent people? Does he go out, wave his hands, Ashavad, benedictions on everyone? He will live forever. No, the pure devotee, or even the Madhyama Adhikari, or the devotee, even the Kanishta Adhikari, how does he bestow mercy upon the ordinary people? Does anyone know? Yes, he goes out, for instance, and he chants Hare Krishna. Now, does he go up to people and shake them? Hare Krishna, chant, chant, you rascal, chant. No, he goes out, and people, if they want to, they can go. He doesn't force anyone to listen to them generally. But he makes the Hare Krishna available through the Hare Krishna mantra. And for those who become a little bit attracted, then what does he do? Now here, of course, if someone's falling asleep, we clap our hands, and then they wake up. That's magic. So we use our mystic powers sometimes. But generally speaking, it's, as it said, Brahmande Brahmate Kon Bhagavandi Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. So the souls are wandering up and down throughout all the universe looking for something. And if they're fortunate, they come in contact with Bhakti Lata Beach. And what is that beach? What is the Bhakti? Is it some little seed? Did some little seed enter into your heart? You didn't even know it. You said Hare Krishna, this magic seed enters into your heart. Bhakti. What is this Bhakti? It's instructions coming from Krishna through his disciplic succession. And if we hear orally those instructions and apply them within our lives, then Krishna, Didami Buddhi Yogam Tam, then he gives us the intelligence when he sees we're trying to apply them. He gives us the intelligence how to apply them. And then when we actually take shelter of that intelligence and try sincerely to follow the intelligence Krishna is giving us, then Tesham Eva Nukam Partam, out of compassion, then he reveals himself. Krishna appears within our heart. And what is that philosophy that we're hearing? It's generally divided into Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Is it very complicated? No, it's not very complicated. But why does it seem so complicated? So philosophical that someone starts talking about it and we think, oh, this is too much for my poor little brain, I can't take it. Why? Because it's too simple. Why is the simplicity? Because it says Krishna's God. And that's enough to send us into bewilderment. What does it mean? Okay, Krishna's God, you're God, we're all God. Krishna. Yeah, he's the supreme, he dances with gopis and plays with the cowherd boys. Sounds like a nice story. Tell it to my children and they can go to sleep peacefully. But what about accepting what it actually means, the implication of what it means that Krishna is God? It means that he's in every atom. Oh, I can't see him anywhere. He must be really tiny. What can he do? How can he? If he's so tiny, what can he really do to me? He's in every atom in all the material universes in which there's unlimited numbers, and he's in my heart. He's controlling everything. Everything belongs to him. Everything is under his control. Well, that's enough to study for a lifetime, trying to figure out what that means. What to speak of accepting it in our lives. Or we could just accept it. All right, everything belongs to Krishna. And now my next question is, what does Krishna want me to do with what belongs to him? I can go to a bank and I can admit, yes, everything in the bank belongs to the people in the bank. It's all right, but this is a robbery. Give it to me. It used to belong to you, but now it belongs to me. So we can even theoretically accept everything belongs to Krishna and then merrily, 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 we go along with our lives as if everything belongs to us. My body, my mind, my words, my possessions, my house, my family. I can just do with it whatever my senses and mind dictate, because it's actually mine. It's under my will. So the implication is that every moment we're supposed to be thinking, what does Krishna want me to do? But we're out on Harinam, on the Padayatra. It's clear what Krishna wants us to do. How many devotees fall asleep on Padayatra? How many devotees go window shopping on Padayatra? Well, that's a different thing. We don't know what they're doing. But generally speaking, we're out there distributing books, we're chanting, we're distributing prasadam. It's pretty clear what we're supposed to do. We don't need a whole seminar on what to do on Padayatra. How to do it may be a different thing. But we know what to do. It's clear, it's simple what to do. How to distribute Krishna consciousness, what our service is. But in other moments it may not be so clear what our priorities are, what Krishna wants us to do today, what he wants us to do next week. That's more complicated. Therefore, generally speaking, one becomes more absorbed in padayatra for the few hours we're out there, however long we're there, than, for instance, during the day, where we're doing one thing for Krishna and then our mind gets distracted and we do something else, and we're here and we're old. And at the end, we're wondering, what did I do? But on the other hand, by some practice and by some discipline, for instance, we have a certain number of rounds to chant every day. We may do a certain amount of reading every day. We may do a certain amount of service every day. So this is called sadhana bhakti. By the process of sadhana bhakti, then we can know, now I'm supposed to do this, now I'm supposed to do that, in Krishna consciousness. And even if we're going to work, there's directions how to work in our jobs. For instance, if we're working in a job, then some percentage of the income, of the gain, should be given to Krishna for Krishna's mission. And the rest of it should be spent in Krishna's service also, if we're serious about Krishna consciousness. But in any case, even when we're not so serious, if we try to give some percentage to Krishna, then we make some advantage. One man was going door to door, and he was begging a sannyasi for some alms, and the woman in the house said, yes, I'll give you some alms. And she went and got some ashes from the fireplace and gave it to the mendicant. And the mendicant said, oh, thank you very much, now your devotional service has begun. At least he gave something. So give something, even ashes is something. Not that knock knock, who's there? It's Hare Krišna. Go away, I'm calling the police. Get out of my sight. No, give something, engage somehow or another in Krishna service according to authorized direction. So Prabhupada says that Krishna gives the authorized direction. It's not that anyone makes it up, and therefore one has to approach the spiritual master in the line of the succession from the Lord himself. That no one can be self-realized by manufacturing his own process, I think Prabhupada says. Oh, there it is. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as the fashion of foolish pretenders. So most of the world, most of the leaders of society, spiritually and materially, they're just manufacturing their own process. And people are foolishly, andaya tandir, upigiyamanas, pisha tantra, urudami bara. They're foolishly following so many fools. And the result is that they make no progress either materially or spiritually. That dry arguments and what is that? Tarka, Pratishta, Shrutiya, Vivina, Isavri, Yasyanavina, Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam, Mahadno Yenikata Savanta. Tarka, Pratishta, dry arguments and mental speculation cannot lead one to the path. Though one has to find a self-realized person, I think Prabhupada says. Independent study of books of knowledge when progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Now, who is the bona fide spiritual master? That's always a big question. Are you bona fide? Do you have your certificate? Did Prabhupada sign a certificate saying that you were a bona fide spiritual master? And did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, where's Prabhupada's certificate that said that he was a bona fide spiritual master? And where anyone in our in our line of succession, did Lord Brahma receive a certificate from Krishna that now you're a bona fide spiritual master, you're head of the whole sampradaya. Where's the certificate? Who's the judge? Who's a bona fide spiritual master? Now, actually, who's the judge? Does anyone have any idea who the judge is supposed to be? Krishna. Krishna. Can you tell me who the bona fide spiritual master here is? I can't hear you. A little louder, please. Well, if we could ask Krishna, he could probably tell us. He does tell us. But who heard from Krishna? Anyone hear it? So we should hear from Krishna. Who has heard from Krishna here? Who a bona fide spiritual master is? Has anyone heard Krishna? Okay, so who here is a bona fide spiritual master on that basis?
Someone who's following his spiritual master.
Okay, so a bona fide spiritual master is one who repeats the same message as Krishna. Right? Okay. So, if a bona fide spiritual master is one who repeats the same message of Krishna, then how many of us here are repeating the same message as Krishna? Anyone here repeating the same message as Krishna? Oh, come on, raise your hand. We're not a group of Mayavadis, are we? Any of the ladies that repeat what Krishna said? We boldly put you up your hand. So, Yari Deka Tari Kaha Krishna Upadesh Amar Aga Gruhana Tari De. Whoever you meet, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, repeat the message. Yari Deka. Deka means whoever you see, like on Padayatra. You see someone walking by and say, forget it, I'm too tired. I'm not going to chant Hare Krishna to them, give them any prasadam, or try to give them a book. At least then we think, oh, there's a person, let me run after, I can get another book out. We'll get another piece of prasadam out. We see someone, we run after them. We saw our devotees yesterday run from one place to another, trying to find someone here in Celia. Where are these people? They must be somewhere here. Hey, Radhe, hey, people out there. Yari Deka Tari Kaha. Tell them about the knowledge that will elevate the Desh, that will do you become lowly no one out here? No one loves me, no one cares about me, no one appreciates me. Until I get authorized, and then I become guru. No, there are different types of gurus. There's Shiksha Guru, there's Bharma Pradaksha Guru, there's Diksha Guru, and they may have different responsibilities, but if they're acting as guru, then they're guru. The spiritual energy, or I'm a Shudra, I can't be under the spiritual energy, or I'm a Vaishya, I can't be under the spiritual energy. Only if I'm a Brahmin or a Kshatriya can be under the spiritual energy. No, it isn't. As soon as I act in Krishna consciousness, then I'm under the spiritual energy. Then I become qualified to act as Guru. And what do you have to do? Who's a Mahatma? Sadatam kirtiyantam mam. Itantas chadrida vrataha, namasyantas shmam bhaktya nituto pasade. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, with great soul, perpetually worship me with devotion. So how many chanted Hare Krishna yesterday? Yes. So we were under the spiritual energy. Did Krishna lie? Doesn't matter, Hare Krishna, please, I'm the spiritual energy. Where is the spiritual energy? Anyone feel they were under the spiritual energy a little bit yesterday? A little bit, just a tiny bit. Yeah, so some we were under the spiritual energy because we were chanting Hare Krishna. So were we guru when we were chanting Hare Krishna? Did someone come up and say, you're not bona fide when we were chanting? I only hear the chanting from a pure devotee. You're not pure. I refuse to accept the Hare Krishna mantra as you're chanting. Now, Sadatam Kirdiyanta Yatantas Shadrida Ridaha. And for 3 hours, devotees were chanting. That's pretty determined, isn't it? Even when no one was there to watch us. We're still chanting. Namasyantasmam Bhaktya. And maybe some little humility came to our heart that I'm out here, I'm trying, I'm not in ecstasy, but I'm trying anyhow. There might be something wrong with my pure devotional service. Maybe I have to try a little harder. Anyone ever feel like that? Yeah. So we fulfilled all the requirements that Krishna said to be under the spiritual energy. So do we think Krishna doesn't like my face, so he didn't put me under the spiritual energy today? No, we've become under the spiritual energy to one degree or another, and therefore to one degree or another, we have an effect on ourselves and on others. So, that effect is, we get some experience that Krishna is God. And what's that experience? Just like we say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So is it possible we could go out and chant, as I said before, for 3 hours, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, M-O-C-K-E-Y, I don't know what, M-I-C-K-E-Y, Mickey, M-I-C-K-E-Y, M-O-U-S-E. Could we do that for 3 hours? Could Krishna's name be something special? And if it wasn't, why can't we not chant any other name? Why can't we chant, what was his name, that famous dancer, black dancer? Michael Jordan. Why can't we chant Michael Jackson? Why can't we chant Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan? Why can't we do that? So it must be something special. It must be some other energy. Otherwise we couldn't be able to do it. So we have some experience of Krishna. We have some realization. And we get more of it the more we chant. And the more we do it with devotion. So that's the science is explained here. If we try to do it devotionally, if we try to do it with service, tesham sadatam yuktanam, try to do it steadily, with absorption, and with feeling, with devotion, with enthusiasm, with care and attention, some positive, elevated consciousness, then causelessly we get some experience of Krishna consciousness. And we become detached. How many of us, when we started, we saw the sign pizza or ice cream? Only time separates me. But by the end, when we went back, how many were thinking, where's that ice cream store anyhow? Well, when we get back, we'll get some devotional ice cream. So there's a little bit of detachment. We didn't look at everyone passing by and wonder what they're doing. But no, there's detachment that comes. And there's knowledge, there's experience in Krishna consciousness. So that's what's being described here. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Krishna.
Thank you for the lecture. And anytime these questions among devotees, not here or in devotees, what is solution when the devotees or gurus or who have responsibility, who are on position and don't doing according their responsibility, and according this all we learned and listen. What is solution?
Solution.
Solution in generally in Krishna consciousness.
The Prabhupada set it up as an authority structure. For instance, down to the head part washer. Usually there's someone who's the head part washer, and the people washing pots, they work under his direction, or her direction. Then there may be a temple commander, there may be a vice president, there may be a president, there may be a regional secretary, zonal supervisor, the GBC, GBC-EC, the GBC body, and then ultimately there's Krishna. Nothing else works, it's up to Krishna. So Prabhupada said that our process of authority, following authority, is just like the law court. They have lower law courts and they have higher law courts. So if we don't accept the decision of the lower court, we can appeal to the higher court. So that's generally our process. Otherwise, ultimately, it's up to Krishna. There are authorities in our society who did the wrong thing, and Krishna took care of that eventually.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes. Yes.
Thank you for inspiring lecture. I just wanted to ask, when you mentioned that if we want spiritual knowledge, we should approach spiritual master. And I would just like to ask for some advice as what is the proper way to approach spiritual master.
Well, one should approach it according to this verse. One should approach a spiritual master, to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. And then inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination of spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses him with genuine spiritual understanding. Both blind following and absurd inquiry is condemned. One should not only inquire submissively, one should get a clear understanding through submission, service, and inquiries. The spiritual master, the spiritual master is by nature very kind to the disciple, and when the disciple is always submissive, ready to render service, then reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. Now, any devotee that we actually believe is a better example in some way or knows more than we do, we can approach them with the same mood and inquire from them, and if we take them what they tell us, if we can understand what they tell us, and apply it within our lives. That means submission and service. Now, when we generally speak of an initiating guru within our society, then one should accept the spiritual master as an actual representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should be willing to serve him like a real servant without false prestige. Unless one can accept someone as good as God, not that he is God, but that he's actually on a platform of steady devotional service, and whatever he tells me will be instructive to me how I can actually become liberated from my material concepts of life, then one should not take initiation unless one is actually convinced that this person is actually as good as God. Otherwise, the initiation will not be effective, because one will not be able to serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, and one will simply not necessarily follow the inquiries. One may be inquisitive, but one may not be submissive, and therefore one may not render service. One may do whatever one wants, and that's offensive. And as long as one is offensive, one can't advance in spiritual life. Therefore, we find in our society many people take initiation and then they don't really follow the instructions, and the result is they disappear after some time. Not because the process doesn't work, it's because they're not following the process. They've accepted someone as a spiritual master, but they didn't really take shelter of anyone else for one reason or another. They didn't accept anyone else in the mood of submission, service, and inquiry. And therefore, because of their doubts, they never really accepted the initiating guru either. That they were actually going to act as a menial servant, either following the process of sadhana, which is inherent within the process of initiation. They didn't even accept that they were going to follow 4 principles and chant Hare Krišna 16 rounds every day. They didn't even accept that because they didn't really accept the spiritual master as good as God. Or if they did, the first thing they do is reject God because they don't really believe in God. And then they reject they don't follow the spiritual master either, they reject him next. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, first they reject Krishna, they don't accept the Hare Krishna mantra for the 4 principles, then they reject the spiritual master, all the other instructions that help you chant Hare Krishna offenselessly and follow the 4 principles. To reject him is just a rejection. To one degree or another, sometimes they come, say hello to Krishna once in a while. But basically speaking, they become inactive in devotional service, Krishna consciousness. Anything else? Yes.
How Krishna appears in our heart, what this means?
Well, first of all, he speaks to us. He's there in our heart, and he speaks to us. It's like you're passing by McDonald's, and you remember how nice it was when you were a little child, when you went to, maybe you didn't remember. I didn't remember. We didn't have McDonald's when I grew up. Anyhow, this is just an example. And you think, well, maybe I should go and see what it looks like. And Krishna says, no. Don't go. That's Krishna talking to us. That's Paramatma talking to us. So he talks to us. And sometimes he tells us something. He gives us some realization. We say, wow, that's amazing. Now I understand what this was, what it said in the Bhagavad Gita. I can see it now. So that's Paramatma talking to us, giving us real intelligence. And sometimes we remember Krishna. We think about him. So that's Krishna revealing himself within our heart also. That is Krishna, pure, is the deity in our heart. So sometimes Krishna tells us something from without. The devotee comes to us and tells us something. So that's also Paramatma. Because Paramatma is controlling everything, including the devotees, what they're saying. Because the devotee has to agree, he wants to serve, then Krishna gives him the intelligence, what to tell the other devotee. Is that clear? So in so many ways, Krishna's talking to us. Even Prabhupada was wondering whether he should, he said one colonel told him that it would be better if you print hardcover books rather than small books, softcover, or magazines. So they probably took this Krishna telling me. And he started to print hardcover books, the original Bhagavatams. One time, Prabhupada was installing deities in Amsterdam, Lord Jagannath Baladev, Srimati Subhadra Devi. And the preparations were horrible. They put the ghee, it wasn't ghee, it was mandi, it was just, what do they call, margarine. Margarine doesn't burn. They didn't have any flowers. The altar was, practically almost fell apart. And so Prabhupada started to, give instructions. He was quite angry. Transcendently angry. And it was on television. So when hippie came up to Srila Prabhupada and said, Shanti, Shanti. And Prabhupada became peaceful. You realize my audience, Krishna is telling me my audience is being disturbed. I've had to change my mood, so Prabhupada became very peaceful. So Prabhupada, this is Krishna talking to me. So he followed it. So he could see Krishna, even in a hippie coming giving instructions. Anything else? Vrindaraya Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
I like to play with different size t-shirts, if I can. Would you like to try? I put maybe these peaches food for you in the fridge outside, and just like to wash you and iron for today.
Okay.
Thank you. Or maybe put it something, this which is the right for you.
Good.